There's something unnerving about it. That invisible pull toward the one who fractured you, like a compass needle trembling toward magnetic north, even when you know it's dangerous. You remember the moments they let you down, the words they said, the way they made you feel small, and yet part of you still aches for their love, as if it's the final puzzle piece that will make everything inside you whole again. It's not because you're weak, it's not because you're naive. It's because your mind, your body, and your deepest emotional coding are working in ways that most people never fully understand. Craving love from the person who hurt you the most is one of the most psychologically complex and haunting phenomenon. It often begins long before you met them. To understand this craving, we have to look at the emotional architecture of your early life. Human beings are born wired for connection. As children, we're entirely dependent on those around us, not just for food or shelter, but for emotional cues that tell us who we are and whether we're worthy of love. If the people responsible for our care were inconsistent, emotionally distant, unpredictable, or harmful, our minds didn't register them as bad. Instead, we internalized a simple but dangerous belief: I must be the problem. And so, the cycle began. When someone you loved and depended on hurt you repeatedly, your mind formed a kind of emotional blueprint, a love template. It didn't matter if that love was healthy, it mattered that it was familiar. And the more familiar pain becomes, the more easily it masquerades as love later in life. So when someone enters your world and treats you with the same mix of affection and rejection, comfort and cruelty, attention and abandonment, your nervous system recognizes it. It's not just about attraction, it's about reenactment. On a level that goes far deeper than logic, you are subconsciously drawn to the possibility of rewriting that original pain. You're not just chasing them, you're chasing a resolution that your younger self never got. This is why your mind clings to the person who hurt you, because they mirror something unfinished, something unresolved. And if you could just make them love you, if you could prove your worth to them, maybe it would undo the feeling of being unlovable that has followed you for years. That's not love. That's trauma trying to complete its cycle. It's the emotional equivalent of trying to finish a broken song where the melody never lands. But this craving isn't just mental, it's chemical. When you're in a relationship filled with emotional highs and lows, your brain gets flooded with dopamine during the moments of affection and validation. Then comes the drop, the silence, the criticism, the rejection. Your brain panics, craving another dopamine hit. This creates a psychological addiction loop. You keep returning, not just because of what they make you feel, but because of the emotional crash when they disappear. That pain feels unbearable, but what's underneath it is even deeper. Abandonment wounds. When someone you trust causes harm, it's not the act itself that stays lodged in your heart, it's the betrayal. It's the realization that love and pain can exist in the same sentence. And your nervous system doesn't know how to separate the two anymore. So you form attachments to people who hurt you because your inner child still believes this time the outcome might be different. That maybe, just maybe, this person will finally give you what you needed all along. Consistent, safe, unconditional love. There's a psychological term for this: repetition compulsion. It's the unconscious drive to recreate past traumas in an attempt to master them. Your subconscious thinks, if I can just get this person to choose me, maybe I can prove I'm not broken. But here's the trap. The more you chase validation from someone emotionally unavailable or harmful, the more you abandon yourself. And each time they reject you, it reopens the original wound. This is why leaving someone who's hurt you feels impossible even when your mind knows better. You're not just grieving the person, you're grieving the hope they represented, the fantasy, the imagined version of them who would finally make the pain inside you make sense. The part of you that still hopes they'll apologize, change, or fight for you is often the same part that never received closure from someone long ago. It's not about this one person, it's about the echo of unmet needs. You're not addicted to the person. You're addicted to the feeling of trying to earn the love you were always meant to receive freely. This emotional confusion is especially intense for people with anxious attachment styles. These individuals often grew up in environments where love had to be earned, chased, or fought for. As adults, they associate emotional chaos with intimacy. If someone is calm, respectful, and emotionally available, it might feel boring or even suspicious. But if someone is unpredictable, hot and cold, dismissive, or condescending, it activates the part of them that's wired for survival over safety. That's not because they enjoy peanuts, because their nervous system has mistaken it for connection. And let's not forget the role of shame. Shame tells you that the hurt was your fault, that if you were better, smarter, more attractive, more perfect, they wouldn't have treated you that way. So instead of walking away, you stay, you try harder, you shrink yourself to be what they want. You twist into emotional knots, hoping if you just say the right thing or act the right way, they'll finally give you the love you've been starving for. But you can't earn what someone doesn't know how to give. Even worse, society often reinforces this craving. Think about how many stories you've heard where someone changes for love, how often you've been told that persistence wins, that if you just love someone hard enough, they'll heal. That narrative is not just dangerous, it's manipulative, because real healing never demands that you stay in pain. Real love does not require you to be hurt first. But when you've been conditioned to believe that love must be proved through suffering, you will stay in situations that are slowly destroying you, believing that endurance equals worth. This is how the cycle deepens. Because with each return, each maybe this time, you reinforce the idea that you don't deserve better. And the more you betray yourself in pursuit of their love, the harder it is to see the difference between desire and destruction. You start to confuse longing with compatibility, intensity with intimacy, possession with devotion. But just because you feel something deeply doesn't mean it's good for you. Pain doesn't always mean purpose. There's also another layer, psychological fear, that if you let go of this person, you'll lose the chance to ever feel that intensity again. But what you're really afraid of isn't losing them. It's losing the identity you built around being the one who endured, the one who held it all together, the one who forgave again and again, hoping for a different ending. You've become so used to measuring your value by how much pain you can withstand, that the idea of peace feels unfamiliar, maybe even empty. But peace isn't empty, it's just quiet. And sometimes we mistake quiet for loneliness when we've been surviving in noise for too long. And that's the paradox. The same person who fractured your sense of worth becomes the person you unconsciously assign the power to restore it. You're not just craving their affection, you're trying to rewrite the ending. If they suddenly treat you better, it means you were lovable all along. If they apologize, it means your pain had meaning. If they finally see your value, it validates your entire emotional experience. But in truth, that validation doesn't heal you, it hooks you deeper. When someone hurts you and still occupies a position of emotional power. It creates a psychological loop where your brain confuses resolution with attachment. You may find yourself obsessively thinking about them, not because of love, but because your nervous system is still seeking closure. This is why their mixed signals affect you more than someone else's affection ever could. It's the trauma bond in disguise, a seductive form of control masquerading as connection. You might keep replaying their words, rereading their messages, or stalking their social media because deep down you're looking for a shift, a sign, something that says they finally care. But that yearning doesn't come from your heart. It comes from the unresolved pain they planted in you. This kind of craving is psychological warfare within yourself. Your emotional mind is craving love, but your survival mind is craving safety. And if pain is all you've known in that connection, then even breadcrumbs of attention feel like relief. It doesn't help that the people who hurt you the most often have moments of warmth. They say the right things, flash a charming smile, or act remorseful just enough to keep the door cracked open. That intermittent reinforcement, where love and pain alternate unpredictably, is one of the most powerful psychological traps known to human behavior. Your brain clings to the highs, trying to survive the lows. It becomes less about the person and more about the next hit of hope. This is why silence from them hurts more than disrespect. It's not just rejection, it's emotional starvation. It activates the same brain regions as physical pain. The absence of attention from someone who once gave it, even if inconsistently, can feel like withdrawal from a drug. And in that state, your boundaries become blurred. You begin to wonder if maybe it was your fault. Maybe if you were quieter, nicer, more forgiving, they wouldn't have hurt you. But that's the illusion. The truth is, when you crave love from someone who broke you, you're not seeking love. You're seeking relief. Relief from the story they created about your worth. Relief from the question that lingers in your mind. Why wasn't TI enough for them to treat me right? That question haunts you because it implies that their mistreatment says something about you. It doesn't. It never did. Their behavior was never your mirror. It was their mask. But here's the deeper wound. You may have grown up believing that love must be earned through suffering, that being chosen means tolerating pain, that if you endure enough, one day someone will reward your loyalty with gentleness. This belief system doesn't come from romance. It often starts in childhood, from parents who withheld affection, from caregivers who only showed love when you were perfect. From environments where your needs were too much and your voice was too loud, so you learned to love quietly, desperately, unseen. When you meet someone later in life who replicates that, dynamic, inconsistent, dismissive, sometimes kind but often cruel, your nervous system recognizes the pattern as familiar. And what's familiar often feels safe, even if it's harmful. You're not chasing that person's love. You're chasing a resolution to your earliest emotional wounds. You're trying to finally win the love you were denied, even if it's from someone who's unequipped to give it. This is why closure rarely comes from the person who hurt you. They don't carry the antidote to the poison they poured into your life. You carry it. But accessing it means grieving not just the relationship, but the fantasy that they'll change, that they'll make it right, that the love you gave will finally be reciprocated. Letting go of that fantasy is painful because it forces you to accept that you were never the problem. And if you were never the problem, then you have to grieve the time you spent trying to prove you were lovable to someone who never saw you clearly. Healing starts when you stop asking why they didn't love you right and start asking why you thought their love would fix you. It's in that moment of clarity that power begins to shift. You begin to reclaim your story from the hands of those who mishandled it. You stop craving their love, not because the pain disappears, but because you finally understand it wasn't love to begin with. It was a projection of your need to be loved. The ache might linger, the memories may still whisper, but your self-worth no longer lives in their acceptance. It lives in your ability to walk away from what hurts, even when your heart wants to stay. It lives in your refusal to shrink just to be tolerated. And over time, your nervous system will catch up to that truth. The craving will fade. The fog will lift. And one day, you'll realize that the person who hurt you was just a chapter, not your conclusion. Because love, real love, never requires you to abandon yourself to feel it. And once you know what that feels like, you'll never chase pain again just to feel seen.